white buffalo woman is coming. This is a great story because I've already sketched it out and you will never forget it now. Even though I told it to you, you haven't even read it, but it's a great little story. So he goes running home and get a big teepee and put it in the center of the nation, and she came and they started singing. We're beginning to get the choreography here, by the way. And then he even knows the song she sang. I don't have the music to this song, but it goes something like, with a visible breath I am walking, a voice I am sending as I walk, in a sacred manner I am walking, with visible tracks I am walking, in a sacred manner I walk. So we're getting the chant here, gives you the lyrics. And out of her mouth came a white cloud that was lovely to smell. And she gave something to the chief, and it was the pipe with the bison calf carved on one side to mean the earth that bear and feeds us, and the 12 eagle feathers hanging from the stem. So she gives the pipe to the tribe. Behold, she said, with this you will multiply and be a great nation, and nothing good shall come from it, but nothing but good will come from it. Only the hands of the good should take care of it, and others shall not even see it. And then she sang again, and went in out of the teepee. And as the people watched her going, suddenly she was a white buffalo, galloping away and snorting, and soon she was gone. And it's another one of those Carlos Castaneda people turning into animal stories, right? So she's gone. And now I light the pipe and offer the powers of the power to you. And hey, 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 grandfather, great spirit. So you see, you've got here all the trappings of someone telling you what the traditions are. If you've forgotten the traditions, here they are, right here, all set down to some extent for you. I'm sure there were more, but this is at least some. Well, anyway, take this white buffalo. This white buffalo is still sacred among many of these plains Indians. I don't know how far you even stretching down into New Mexico. And I don't know if you know, but I always tell the story to my class recently, and it gets less recent as I tell the story. Maybe 10 years ago or so, maybe 15. A white buffalo was born to one of these guys who's raising buffalo meat. You know, there's a lot of farmers who are raising this buffalo because it is good anti-cholesterol meat, and it is very good tasting, as the guy in the outdoor market was telling me there next to the Long Beach Marina on Sunday. He's got to stand there. I even took his, got in my pocket the prices he's got for the buffalo meat. One of these guys raising this stuff, I think it was in Wisconsin. A white buffalo was born to one of his buffaloes. I mean, it happens pretty periodically because that's really like, I guess what we call an albino. And the word got around that he had a white buffalo in his corral or whatever you know, fenced area, whatever you call that area that they would be keeping the animals in. And after a time, it spread all across the country, and he would have people coming all the time, American Indians, Native Americans, coming to his fence, driving there to see the white buffalo calf. And you can go out on his farm and there be people, you know, just looking quietly, watching the white buffalo. And these things are sacred in people's minds even to the present day. I don't know, by the way, what happened to that white buffalo. Maybe you could Google them up and you'll find out. I'm not a big Google person, but I know all my students are Google people. So I'm sure you could find out. And maybe if you do find out what happened to the white buffalo, you would tell me. Before you run off, let me just get into the next chapter. I am a Lakota of the Oglala Band. My father's name also was Black Elk, and his father before him. I was the fourth to bear it. He was a medicine man, and so were several of his brothers, and he and Great Crazy Horse's father were cousins, having the same grandfather. Well, they're not that closely related. You know, he's not a second cousin. This is about like an eighth cousin or something like that. My mother's name was White Cow Seas, and her father was refused to go, and her mother Plenty Eagle Feathers. And I remember my mother's mother and her father. My father's father was killed by Pawnees, you see, not whites. When I too was too little to know, and his mother, Red Eagle, died soon after, and I was born in the moon of the popping trees, on the Little Powder River in the winter when the 4 crows were killed. 1863. And I was 3 years old when my father's right leg was broken in the Battle of the 100 Slain. Okay, so we have a date there. That's, and I have a footnote. That is December 21st, 1866. It's called the Fetterman Massacre. It wasn't really a Fetterman. What happened was, it says near this Pinot Creek. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado, but if you go on the super highways that go down that part of Colorado next to the mountains, that, you know, basically all of Colorado is underneath the mountains, and up in the mountains are just places that people like Kobe Bryant get in trouble. But down in the valley there is where all the people live, you know. There's this big highway. Have you guys been on that highway? Well, if you drive that highway, you'll come to this place where they had this Fetterman fight. And Fetterman was a guy who was a captain or something in the U.S. Army, and he was raring to go. And what the Indians did is something what happens in Iraq now. They lured this contingent of soldiers out by, you know, sending a weak party out in front of them that he thought he could take care of. So he got all excited and got all his troops to run after them. And then when they went over the hill, there was this other group waiting for them, and they wiped these 100 American soldiers out in what became known as the Fetterman Massacre in 1866. And if you're driving on that road that I'm telling you about, north of Denver, you'll see the sign. You'll see the sign, Fetterman, site of the Fetterman Massacre. You go and take a look at that sometime if you're on that road. In any case, that's when he was 3 years old. So he lived until the day he died, which was around the time that Bigfoot was, and his people were killed, and we buried him there in the Wounded Knee in the hills. So I remember the winter of the 100 Slain. So you remember these things by events of that kind. I'll let you go in a second. Let me get this last paragraph here. I have never seen a Wasichu then, and did not know what he looked like. But everyone was saying the Wasichus were coming, and they were going to take our country and rub us all out, and we should all have to die fighting. And it was the Wasichus who got rubbed out in that battle, and all the people were talking about it for a long while. But 100 Wasichus was not much if there were others and others without number, as he finally found out, that are coming. And I remember once I asked my grandfather, and I said, when the scouts come back from seeing the prairie full of bison somewhere, the people say the Wasichus are coming. The strange men are coming to kill us all. They say the Wasichus are coming. What does this mean? And he would say, there are many. What's a Wasichu? Well, it's also, there are black Wasichus too. I want you to understand that. I'm not trying to hurt the black Afro-Americans by saying that, but a Wasichu is everyone who's non-Indian. And it doesn't matter if you're a white or a black, or any other color in between. We were all looked upon as Wasichus. And he talks about the black Wasichus too, who he, as I said, they're particularly frightened of. And, but mainly, of course, they're the whites, I grant you that. But the Wasichus are really the foreigners, the outsiders, the interlopers, us. Us, except for Native Americans here in the room. Pick up there next time. Try to read this, because I got to get through this quickly, and we're going to keep on moving. Thanks for tolerating our discussion.